Because you had a pretty big part in legalizing MMA in New York, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, they kept me busy. I remember one time we did like a whole tour where we did six different places in New York, like six different cities, and I would give a speech at each one alongside like a few other executives in the UFC. And yeah, it was really cool. And it's crazy to look back now because you almost forget that it was not legal in New York not too long ago. Because now it's like you already start taking it for granted. You forget.
Yeah,
Most of my career, I wasn't able to fight in New York.
yeah,
Uh,
it's crazy.
yeah, but I'm glad that's all settled down now and we're good to go. Even though it didn't work out for me too well, every fight in New York I've pretty much lost other than Gastelum. So New York has kind of screwed me. Not the best luck over here.
Mate,
Do you
I
feel a
feel
lot?
you.
Oh, sorry, go.
No,
Uh,
please.
Do you feel a lot more pressure when you fight at home?
um, I don't know. The way I look at it, yeah, there's definitely pressure. It's like shit. I don't want to lose in front of all these, all my friends and family. But at the end of the day, they're probably going to be watching no matter where I'm at. The people I'm thinking about, who I'm like kind of focused on, and how they're going to react. But it does play a little bit of it does kind of play some tricks in your mind when you're fighting at home. Um, but I don't know. If I wasn't fighting at home, I put a lot of pressure on myself regardless.
Do you find that there's like a like maybe 2 times or 3 times as much media surrounding it as usual, like opposed to when you're fighting elsewhere?
Is that happen with you?
Yeah, so like when I fight in Australia, like the local paper wants a piece, like friends want to message me and call me, and like there's just so much more. Everyone just wants to be a part of the ride, if you would, which is like you say thank you because they just want to be a part of it all with you, but it also is just like little pieces just stacking the pile higher.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, man. It's the media. It becomes a lot. And when I'm fighting in New York, it becomes a lot. New York is one of the media capitals of the world,
Yeah.
and they have a New Yorker born and raised. So there, they just like I have to be on everything. I'm going to be on the forefront of everything, and it does take a lot out of me. I'm like I could be the life of the party, but that takes a lot of like energy out of me to
And
do. I
mental
could be
space.
that person. Yeah, but I think I'm more of like a quiet person who likes to sit by myself and play video games in my room and not like have to be in the forefront of everybody's minds and being asked every question in front of all these people, and everything I say is criticized and all that shit.
Yeah.
So that does annoy me, and I've had to obviously like I'm a big mindset guy, and the second you start being negative about anything, it's only going to get worse. So throughout my career, I've always just been super positive about media. But now that I start seeing towards the end, I start seeing the other side of the picture of my fighting career. I think I could be more honest with myself and be like, yeah, it is tough for me, the media thing.
Can you elaborate what you meant by seeing the other side of your fighting career? Do you mean coming to the end, or what do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to be finished, but it's probably the first time in my life, in my career, where I could actually sit back and be like, no, I'm pretty much, I am towards the end. I just know that I've known my whole career. This is not something that's going to last forever, but it was hard for me to like truly peek my head outside the window and see into the other side because we're so focused on what we're doing, and you need to be so focused to be at the top.
You kind of can't have one foot out. Like
No.
if you have one foot out already, it's
hard,
too dangerous. It's too hard to be like that. I completely understand.
Yeah, 100%.
But you still feel very much in for the time being, or?
Yeah, I'm definitely not retiring now. I still love it. I still love to train. I would love to win a belt again, and win that back. But I'm not. I'm just. It's been. I've had great successes, and I've now hit bottom multiple times, and then I rose a little bit. I came back out of that a little bit with Gaslam, and then I fell back down, and I'm on the way to try to get back up again. And just during those time periods, it's like you just start realizing that at the end of the day, it's like this is gonna be, you can't do this forever. and you start kind of finally looking outside of it. I mean, I remember when I was champion, there was not one thought of this. I couldn't think like that. I mean, I got offered all these different like Hollywood parts and all this, just a bunch of different opportunities, and I was just like, I'm good. I'm not ready. I'm not doing any of that. I didn't care because my goal was to just become champion multiple times and just win millions doing that, not like become other things, you know. But now it's fun. But now I'm at the point in my career where it's like, now I'm okay with doing other things that will help me after I'm done fighting. That will kind of, something I could continue to do after fighting.
I have
and
a
for
question.
a long time, I like avoided that.
I have a question for you because it's something, and I've had a chance. Well, we've had opportunity to meet Longo and to meet Matt Serra, and that they seem like really really good guys. And how have you guys managed to? Because for us, like when we're watching you, when you lose, we're like, oh fuck, Weidman lost, but we like knowing
Thank you.
No, but it's not like, oh fuck, he's shit. Like people, you hear people say that, or Rob lost his last fight and he should retire too. Like we understand, all right, fuck, he lost. Usually we go on for you. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. But then like, how do you guys deal with the losses, and how do you guys keep that team together? Because you have such a good, strong team, and the pressure that, because it doesn't just build on you, the pressure builds on your team as well. How do you guys deal with that?
And there's like 4 million MMA experts that comment on every social media post, saying what you could have done, should have done, fire this guy, bring in this guy, change this up. How do you just like understand? Oh, shit happens, and stay on that track. Asking for a friend. I'm there.
There's certain. I've flirted with like everything over my career. When you get different offers from different things, and you start seeing the other side. The grass is always greener. But it's almost like being married. And I'm just thinking about this now. It just popped in my head, but I kind of see like a correlation. It's like when you first get married and like there's you're in the limelight and all these girls are around, you start thinking about like the grass is always greener. And I know our wives are listening right now. We love you guys, so never leaving you. But once you mature in your mind and you realize that like you have a loyal person that's got your back to the death, and like you could we could always go out and look for other things, but at the end of the day, you're gonna lose a part of yourself if you leave. And I feel like for me, it's my coaches like Ray and Matt. It's kind of like a marriage. Like I have zero even thought about leaving them. Just like I don't want to. I have zero thought of cheating on my wife. It's the same thing with like I have zero thought of leaving them because they've been with me since the beginning. If I'm obviously I haven't been on the best streak. But I don't blame them at all. I apologize just because.
To your defense, you've been winning most of those fights, all of those fights.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate you defending me there. I know. What the fuck? This sport is tough.
It fucking is, man. It fucking is.
And then we gotta sit there. We're doing podcasts, we're hanging out, and everyone's just like, "Oh, you suck, Whittaker. You lost your last fight, so now you suck. You should retire." Weidman, forget about me at this point. But after I lost my first fight, it was the same thing. You suck, and you should retire. And you got to wait a long time to be able to go back in that octagon and prove them wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel for my coaches a lot. Like I don't want to ever leave them. I actually, when I lose, I just feel bad for them because they have to deal with the same shit. They get dragged into the same thing. Like, have you not been working this with Weidman? Have you not been doing this? Like, and they look at the comments on Instagram. They see how they get bashed just as much. So I feel bad for them because they do everything they possibly can for me to have success. And sometimes in this sport, it's like, listen, sometimes you land the punch, and other times that guy lands the punch. Sometimes you make the right decision, and sometimes you make the wrong decision. And I don't think that is anybody else's fault besides just the sport we're in. It's
just the night. It just wasn't your night. We've spoken about this like a lot, and you can do absolutely everything right and still come short sometimes.
Yeah, and there's times you don't do everything right and you win. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. You have a bad weight cut, you go out there, you don't fight that well, and then the dude just runs into one and you're like, I fucking won. Mad.
I know.
So
I almost think sometimes like fighting should be more like sparring, like with the bigger gloves and everything. That takes less chance of something terrible going wrong
Yeah.
out of the hands. And it's like I feel like the more of the skill set will show in a sparring session over time. Like if you spar over and over again, you'll be like, all right, he has better stand up. This guy has better wrestling, jiu-jitsu. This is what he has to do, and there's less crazy, dangerous things that happen.
Yeah, less chance factor.
Yeah, less chance in there.
I think it was after the Gastelum fight. I think you were talking about how I'm paraphrasing a bit. I can't remember exactly what you said, but you said something along the lines of you acknowledged your wife a lot, thanked your wife, and you said how good it was to be, back in a winning fashion. But I remember you speaking a lot about you saying how you had to have a very, very thick skin, and your family getting dragged through the mud in it. Do you remember saying something like that?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like, how bad is it for your family? When you said your family had to get...
Because they're getting, like, well, I could tell you my kids, like, there's some things that happen at school. And when I'm thinking the worst things that happened to me as far as, like, from going from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows is, my daughter going to school after my fight and one of the kids saying, hi, your daddy got knocked out. Like, and my daughter, who's clueless kind of, she's, like, 9 years old, the sweetest thing ever. It's like... Why are you saying that to me? Like
kids are
like,
fucked.
And when I hear that, and like other kids with that kid like laughing, and I'm like, that's what an example of my family going through the mud. And like my daughter's she's not defending herself. Like she's not. I mean, it's just messed up. She didn't sign up for that. You know what I mean? So that bothers me. And then like obviously my mom, my dad, my parents, my wife, anybody in my family or close circle, they're gonna have their own friends or acquaintances or just people they don't know mention things like, to them that they're going to have to defend me. And I'm like, it sucks to have to put them in those situations. Can
I ask you, mate, like, why do you think the sport is like that? Because, I've spoken about it. We've spoken about it a bunch of times about the culture, kind of the ruthlessness of the fans and the sport. But, like, what do you think the sport is that ruthless, is that cutthroat? Because, like, you have your sporting teams on the weekends and they lose or they win.
But it's bad for the sporting teams too.
Yeah, but it's not that bad. It's not the
difference,
bad.
I think, with you guys is the fighters themselves. Like, say, for example, I think, like, say a football team or a soccer team loses, the other teams, I don't know, in Australia probably don't jump on as much. But I think, like, when Chris loses... or you lose, the other fighters that are going through the same shit. Because that little kid that said shit to his daughter, like, his parents should probably be hit with baseball bats because he's fucked. Like, that's just wrong. Like, honestly, if somebody came and said, your daughter said that to another kid, to me, I'd lose my shit. If my daughter was saying that to someone.
Grounding forever.
Dude. But aside from that, look, the thing I think what you're getting at, I don't think it's just the fans and the rest of it. I think it's like the other fighters, like, say you lose, everyone else jumps on, like,
that is another huge thing. It's like with the other fighters, like, you lose and every other guy just wants to kick you while you're down, like they've never lost, like they're doing so well themselves. It's usually like a shit eater who's like ranked 40 going like, you're shit, I could beat you any day. It's like, I don't understand it.
They're joining in. It's like social media really is a big. Social media is a big reason on why I think why we're seeing this and people act like that. Like people just got used. I've heard someone said this recently, and I'm like, that is it. Like people just got so used to being on social media and saying whatever they want to say and not having to like get slapped in the face for it. So it's like, I kind of grew up like, if I'm not going to say something to your face, I'm not going to say it behind your back. I'm not going to say it on social media. That's like completely gone now. It's like, you could say whatever you want and not mean it, or mean it and you won't have to say it to their face. Like,
there are no
consequences. Say whatever you want. There's no consequences for your actions at all. Thanks for summing that up for me.
I'm shocked by that too, though. Like, I see people when they say shit, and then like you see them, and I'm not a fighter. I'm not an intimidating guy at all. But I meet them or I see them or they've said something about Rob, but I'm expecting that to carry on, and it's like, oh no, it's not. Like, yous are cool. Like, it's all good. But
oh my God.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. You if you go on my Instagram, like, it's actually, since I'm doing pretty bad right now, like, I actually don't have as much haters. When I'm doing a little bit better, or I just came off like my first loss, it's probably worse. But I could count on my one hand how many times actually someone said something negative to me in my face. Like out of all the fans I've met over the years, like I'm on lines, there's crowds of people, they could scream it from like far away. Still, they just don't do it. You know what I mean? But the amount of comments and negative stuff I get spewed at me all the time on social media, it's every day, all day long. So it's like you wonder, where are these people?
Because how much does that? Because people look at you like you're Chris Weidman or Robert Whittaker. How much does that, on a human level, affect you?
As far like the negative stuff?
Yeah.
I can't say it doesn't affect me at all. It definitely affects me. I don't know. I've gone through like different stages of my life through my career where like it bothered me more than other times. Like where I used to be on forums, MMA forums, and then I got completely off that. I have zero interaction with any of that stuff now. That was years ago. I cut that out because it was bothering me. And then I got to the point where I stopped reading comments altogether, the mentions, just because I thought I'd be like brave enough to open up my Twitter and go to the mentions, and I saw one good one, so let me scroll down a little bit. Then all of a sudden you get the bad ones. I'm like, you get stabbed in the heart. And I don't know. I go through like I don't know. I guess they do bother me sometimes, and sometimes they don't. I try not to let it bother me.
Does your wife read them? Does your wife see it?
I'm sure she does, but I mean, she's been instructed over the years, like, you don't argue back with them, don't give them any light, just move on.
100%. Like,
there's been guys that have tried to like infiltrate that too, like trying to get her to come back at them and talking shit to her, and
what the fuck goes on in your life, like to do that?
Like, and it's funny, like I'm very much the same way where. You tell yourself, it doesn't mean anything. Like, I'm not going to let it bother me. But it fucking does. Every bad comment is just a little chip away, and it chips away, and it chips away, and it's just, and then you've read 6 or 7 of them, and you just sit there feeling like shit.
But do you see a lot of your comments?
No, I don't. Like, I make a conscious effort not to do that. Like to read all the comments, to read every comment and stuff like that. But sometimes they slip past. Sometimes they just slip past, or you're like, or exactly as you say, like someone says a real nice thing, and you go to that comment, you're like, yeah, that's a beautiful thing to say, and then the next one's like, you're fucking shit, and you're like, wow, what is it?
That is it. Well, if you get excited for the good ones, you're gonna get fucking super upset about the bad ones.
Yeah.
So like the goal is to not give a shit no matter what they say, even if that's how I am. I'm super skeptical. If someone says something nice to me, I try not to even pay attention to it. I'm like, and it's messed up, bro. Like I've had messages from people like like really like heartfelt things, and I'm like, I can't respond. Like I don't respond to a lot of them because I'm just like, I feel like if I'm starting to give, I don't know what it is. I'm guessing it's a defense mechanism in me because I've been hit so bad at this point over and over again for so many years, like in a negative shit, that I'm just like, I can't give the good any like ammo either, because I feel like if I do, the bad's gonna hit me.
I've got a question for you, because you know how there's that whole thing, like when you're winning, everybody's around, and when you're losing, there's nobody. I'm just wondering, like, have you encountered that? Have you experienced this?
Oh yeah, big time. Not to go through my resume, but like at one point I was undefeated and the world champion, and I just beat Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
And so everyone is.
You carved your way up there too.
Yeah, you were undefeated till you lost to Rockhold, which was your fourth title defense. Yeah. Which is pretty good.
I love you, Fab. Yeah, so during that time period, it was crazy. I always did a good job. Obviously, my coaches were always at the forefront of my circle, and that never changed. Lots of managers, different strength coaches over the years, but my coaches, my obviously Matt Serra and Ray Longo, that's kind of been my rock, is obviously my family, my wife. But yeah, there was a lot of everyone wanted to be have a piece of me, in some capacity. You know what I mean? Different business ideas and
business ideas are the best.
I love the business ideas.